You are watching and listening to Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and your favourite podcasts.
Right, Chris.
Alrighty, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good night, good day, goodbye, hello. One of those will apply to you wherever in the world you are, so welcome along. This is LTID TV1 from Leicester Till I Die. Thank you for joining us live on YouTube. If that is how you have chosen to watch us this evening, or via LinkedIn or Twitch, if those are the ways. Please join in with the show and add your comments into the chat. And if you're watching on Catch Up, feel free to add your comments below. We're always interested in reading them. Just keep them respectful. And welcome also if you're listening rather than watching, wherever you get your podcasts from. You are welcome. Thank you for lending me your ears. Remember, you can follow us on all the main socials. It's LTID TV on all of them. Tonight's show is the transfer show. As you can see, we'll be looking at Leicester's six-pack. I know what you're thinking. Surely that's you, Chris. Yeah, it's not. I've not been to the gym. I'll be joined by Brad from LTID TV too. And we will bring in after this. So just going to say a few hellos first. Craig is in. Hi. And Leicester City Forever is in as well. You are both very, very welcome. Let's get the man, the myth, the legend. You thought you wouldn't be able to see him till you went to church on Sunday, but here he is. Oh, there he should be. Hang on. There he is. Hello.
Hello. I thought I was going to make a special appearance. I didn't know it'd be that special. I've not introduced me and not showing my face. I mean, some might argue that's the better thing.
You're God. Who needs to? We just need to feel your presence, don't we?
That's very true. So some will believe what I tell them, even if I'm not real. So it's all good.
How you doing, mate?
I'm doing good, mate. I'm a little bit tired today, but I'm doing all right. Right.
Just think, this time next week, we will be nearly at the kickoff. Is it? I'm trying to think who's playing on the Friday.
I don't. Nobody cares about the Friday games or the Saturday, Sunday games. The real opening premiere to the Premier League, Chris, is Leicester Tottenham. We all know where the big game's at. The massive game. The return of the Madders, if you will. We've got one in goal, so don't get it confused. He's not going anywhere. So yeah, that's the big opening one. No one gives a rat's about. Yeah, it'd probably be Ipswich, Liverpool, or something like that. I don't know.
Probably. And I've got to be honest with you. Do you remember we've had a few Friday night openers, haven't we?
We did. In fact, that's a good question for those in the panel that have got Google on their side. When was the last time Leicester opened a fixture list on a Friday night? Because the only one that springs to mind, Chris, was an absolute ding-dong of a game, but I believe it was the 4-3 loss to Arsenal at the Emirates.
I was about to say it was Arsenal. Past that, I will wait. I mean, Doug's in. Hi, Doug. He'll know. He's the fountain of all knowledge.
Stato man.
Yeah.
Doug is Stato man.
And of course, we will be joined by Doug later on a pre-record, and Dan as well, because they have knowledge of some of these players we are going to be looking at. But yes, it was Arsenal, but 4-3 does seem to ring a bell. I remember us down the pub watching it live on Sky. And all I remember is we lost, so that ruined the weekend straight away, you know. But look, we're being linked. We need more players, don't we? I mean, we'll go through the 6 that we have been linked with. But the main, and I think there's a couple of contenders for this in here tonight. The main thing is we need a KDH replacement, don't we? We need somebody desperately. If we only sign one more player, that's the position it's got to be. B.
I'm not sure, Chris, because I feel like we've got the replacements ready made or already brought in. You look at the depth in our midfield. We've got Ndidi, we've got Sumare, who doesn't look like he's going on the way. I know, but Chris, he is a good player. It's not his fault he was sat with babysitting duties with Mendy under the bell end, and it's not his fault that Strictly Comenzo didn't fancy him playing. You know, Cooper obviously likes to see him. I've seen him and Christensen, another player that's been forgotten for a year, being the mix, being the training sessions. But we have got these players. We've got Winks, you know, we've got Ndidi, who signed another contract for us. You know, we've got Alves, who everybody's seen training with the first team. Not Alvarez, obviously Kid Man City, I wish. Alves, who's been training with the first team since his injuries. We've got Braybrook, who can play in there. You know, so we've got a vast amount of players. Plus, we've got that OAP, as you refer to him as, but I call him an experienced Premier League man in Bobby Dakova-Reid.
Let me just interject there, if you don't mind, because humble pie was eaten by me the other day.
Lovely. You tell.
Yeah, as usual, when aren't I eating humble pie? But yeah, look, I watched the last game. It was pretty awful, to be honest with you, the last pre-season friendly. I didn't realise that were going to be taking part in the Premier League Walking League this season. But apparently, you know, football walking is about the space we were going at. We actually made Enzo Ball look like 100 miles an hour. But I've got to say, he really impressed me.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I mean, Chris. Sometimes you don't need to go and spend 65 million on a one-season wonder at Bournemouth or 57,000 billion pounds on a Wolves man who, as my dad confirms, is a fantastic player, but is more injured than he is playing time. We don't need to spend these sort of monies. You can just get in a player, given our situation in the FFP, not our financial situations, as people like to confuse it with. We've got money. Unfortunately, we don't have 4 billion lawyers and barristers to protect us from breaking rules like Man City and Chelsea's and whatnot. But we have to be careful. And he's a good player, Chris. He's not going to bag us 20 goals this season. He might not even bag us 15 goals this season. But what he'll do is he'll do the job of some players that we had in other great Leicester City era sides. I'm talking the O'Neill era. I'm talking the first half of the Brendan Rodgers era squad, because that was a good era, whether we like him or not. How it ended, the first half of it was brilliant under Rodgers, if you think about it. But my point is, Chris, he'll chip in with goals and assists. So I just feel like we may not have replaced him directly. And if you've ever seen that Moneyball, is it Moneyball on Netflix, where the baseball coach sells a player and he buys people because of their stats, not their ability? I feel like that's what we've done. We've gone out and got and acquired, whether from within our own youth or out on a free or cheap deal for the future. We've brought players with that ability to compensate what we've lost out on. And it's so far, and I feel sorry, Kate, for saying this, he's our only loss this season that I'm worried about that we've lost is KDH replacing him. Well, I think we've got the ability there to replace him throughout.
I mean, we will agree to disagree. I still think we need to replace him. I just think Samari, I mean, Andrew said there he didn't think he's Premier League quality. I haven't seen much of anybody in these pre-seasons, to be honest with you. There is a good player in there. I don't know if Cooper's going to get enough out of Sumari to make him worth keeping, to be honest with you. I think if we had an offer come in, I think we would take him. Take it, sorry.
No, I agree, because he is a player that's gone to play back in Spain. It didn't exactly go as well as he maybe hoped for him there. But you never know. You know, you should know better than anybody, Chris. Your love child Vestergaard. Nobody wanted him. Not even the box that you'll leave outside. Nobody would take him for free to a good home. And then, you know, Strictly Comenzo, the loyalist man in football, you know, gave him a new lease of life. And now all of a sudden he's got a new deal and we're all happy to see Vestergaard play. Maybe not a lot in this season. I'm sure he's his expectation of playing time's gone down a bit, but nevertheless, he's got a redemption arc. There's no reason that this manager, Steve Cooper, can't get it right with Samore. I agree in as well. You can't just say, oh, it's not Premier League material. What did he play in the Premier League? He played a bit part, a couple of starting games, and Mendy's lost his favourite toy. Go babysit him and play alongside him, or we bore the pants off him. I still, through waking up in cold sweats, Chris, remember us talking about Villa and Everton games, I think it was, in that dire, not the relegation season, although it wasn't nearly as dire as that, where we didn't have a shot over 180 minutes, or we had one shot in 180 minutes at home because he played the pair of them in the defensive mid, and that's not their roles. I'm willing to give him a chance and see what he can do. And if he's still here come the start of the season at the end of the transfer window, I'm very happy to see him get in the mix and show us what he's all about. I'm not going to rule him out and say he's not Premier League quality when we've not allowed him to play.
No, and in fairness, I'm judging this on what I've seen in the pre-season. And I've got to be honest with you, apart from two players, nobody has impressed me at all on that. Right, let's just have a look. Rich is in. Hi, Rich. How you doing? AWB Maguire Lindelof on the cheap. I would bite your hand off at Maguire. If you could let him go for 20, I would bite your bloody hand off, mate. Welcome along, mate.
I would bite the hand off at Aaron Wan-Bissaka just for a bit more depth in a position.
Isn't he going to West Ham? No. Isn't everybody going to West Ham at the moment? I've never known a team outside the top six buy so many players.
Well, yeah, very true. But I'd be interested in him. I mean, just because I love Ricardo. And last season was brilliant for him, but we know he has an injury in him. And if he gets injured, he's never one that's misses a week. He's back in training and ready for the next game or the game after if it's in close proximity. He usually gets an injury and you're sat there going, oh, crap. Yeah. And we've got someone like JJ playing on the right, who, again, could do a good job. I'm just trying to say.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get three different words out here. Actually, I don't think we have signed a player who has made this team better. I've got to be honest with you, say, I know you're not a fan of the preseasons. I've fortunately paid some of the money to watch it. And I've got to say it's preseason. It is so hard to tell. And I don't think this is probably the season. And we've done previews before. I mean, we started out, our first ever show was the Birmingham City pre-season game all those years ago, if you remember, at the training ground. But it is all about fitness. It's not, and looking at players, and it's we don't. I know I'm judging these games like I'm judging a league game, and I think it's wrong because they're completely different altogether. He says he wants an increase on his 90,000. Well, we can afford that. We're going to go for the Chelsea way. Just fuck everything. We're going to go for it.
We'll offer him a 10-year contract. We'll be fine. We'll get away with it. We'll sell a house.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Rich says, are we staying up? I tell you what, mate, check us out on Tuesday. I've got Rob Tanner coming on, and we're going to be doing our league predictions. So you'll find out then whether I think we're staying up or not. And of course, Brad is a definite yes, we're stopping up. He wouldn't have it any other way.
My bottom three is Chelsea, Chelsea, and Chelsea.
It wouldn't be bad. And I've got to say, like, I mean, in fairness, and let's be fair here to Enzo for everything he did with us. Oh, done at Chelsea, you're going down a storm. Yes. You're going down like a flush toilet there, mate. So these are the players we're being linked with. Some I've absolutely no idea why. Others I can't even pronounce. So I wish they'd just sign a Brad Smith or somebody like that. And we're going to be talking through those six. And also we've got a couple of, like I say, special guest appearances from Doug and Dan, the Burnley fan, on a couple of those players who they have first-hand knowledge of as well. Scott is in. Hi, Scott. How you doing? Hope you are well as well. Right, let's jump in then, shall we, Brad?
Right, if I jump, my laptop might fall on the floor, but yes.
Yeah. Not literally, not literally. Let's talk Sam Johnstone first. Now, 31-year-old England keeper, in fairness, is with Palace, 6'3". His contract, as with most of these players, expires in 3 years' time. Do we need another goalkeeper? Look, we've got Stolarczyk is out until Christmas or December, whichever one you want to say. For some reason, Ward seems to be getting a chance to prove himself, or had been getting the chance to prove himself in pre-seasons. I mean, I'd be happy to stick with Hermansson, and if he gets injured, Iverson.
Yeah, I still feel like it's the worst soap drama ever, because which one are we going to get rid of? If it's Ward or Iverson? Because we don't need 4 goalkeepers. I know Stolarczyk's out till Christmas, but we don't need 4 goalkeepers, Chris. No. I know Danny Ward brings people out in a cold sweat and gives them flashback nightmares, but to be fair to Danny Ward, we said this on numerous occasions, it's hard to stop goals going past you when your defence is as brittle as, well, anything it was in that horrible season. I mean, Iverson only slightly improved the thing, and I will say he's better goalkeeper than Danny Ward, but we still suffered batterings out there that season. So I just don't see the need. I don't see the point. Like you said, Chris, Hermansson, let's touch wood, but let's say he does get injured and he's out for a week or a month or whatever. Obviously, I wouldn't want it long term. But would I trust Iverson to go in goal with the defence we've got in front of him? Yeah, I'd pretty much trust him in goal. Stolarczyk, you'd like to think, would at least be back in training by that point if there was an injury, unless it happened early doors. So then, worst case scenario, Stolarczyk could cover until Hermansson's fully fit. Danny Ward's our break glass in case of emergency goalkeeper. In my perspective, obviously the gaffer might have a difference of opinion. He might be second or third on the list behind Stolarczyk. He may have even put Iverson ahead of Stolarczyk, and and we don't know the order. Well, apart from Manson, you'd assume you don't know the order in what his second and third choice and fourth choice goalkeepers. We don't need another one. This seems pointless. Unless you're going to sell Ward and Iverson, and we have a break glass in case of emergency, this seems pointless.
We always
Crystal Palace wait for Chelsea to bid 20 million for him.
Yes, indeed. We do have those third choice keepers that basically, like you say, are the break glass in case of emergencies. We had who was the guy we had? Japokovic. I mean, I don't think he ever saw a blade of grass at the King Power, but he was there just in case. This would seem a very expensive, and he's still got 3 years left on his contract. And I don't think he's particularly that well. All right, he's played for England at every level, under 16, 17, 19, 20, and the main England team. He's played 4 times, but he started out at Man United, didn't make any appearances for them, went on loan to Oldham, no appearances. And then between 2011 and 2022, he went to Scunthorpe, Walsall, Yeovil, Doncaster Rovers twice, Preston North End twice, Aston Villa twice, West Bromwich Albion. To me, that kind of says something, doesn't it? And look, I don't think we're going to get rid of Ward. I think he's on too much money. And I think we just got to say, look, he's got a year left. Let's just run it down. If we're going to get anything or get one of the 2 keepers out, I think it's going to be Iverson. I think he's the more likely to make us money or been taken off the wage bill. And you would hope, like you said, a bit like Schmeichel, that maybe Hermansson never gets injured. But this guy, even if we bring in somebody in that we're thinking Everson may go, Ward will be letting go, whatever happens at the end of his contract. We want somebody young that we're going to bring through. We've got one of those, have we not, in the under 20s anyway?
Yeah, funny enough, a name you can pronounce, but I forget his last name. I think it's Brad Smith or something like that. It's just Brad's. We're good goalkeepers, mate. It's just it's in your name. But we've got a good up and coming goalkeeper. Obviously, Stolarczyk proved to us last season when he had to step in and play the cup games that he can do the job. I mean, he can't kick the ball short, which is a bit worrying. But you know, that aside, he was a very good shot stopper. So when he's back and ready, like I said, we've got two up and coming goalkeepers. We've got one out of Danny Ward and Iverson that can fill the gap if necessary. Should Hermansen get injured, and we've already got a number one. You'd be better, Sam Johnstone, mate. I'm sure you're not, but if you ever want to tune in to find out what other clubs fans think of you, stay at Palace, mate. You got more chance of playing.
Indeed. Yeah, and like you say, we've got to look at the talent within our younger ranks, haven't we?
Yeah, we do, and that's something that's been very consistent within Leicester throughout the majority of my time following them. I mean, you'll probably tell me before as well. We like to go within our own means to find the next up and coming youth talent, not willing to pay 60, 30, 90, whatever million for these elite 16, 15, 17, 18, 19-year-olds. We just do this crazy thing called develop them ourselves, you know. Alves, Baybrook, you know, sadly, even though he's moved on, KDH, you know. So we can do that within. And Chris, I wouldn't be surprised if in 10 years' time we're talking about a goalkeeper who's currently playing for the under 15s for Leicester right now. You know what I mean? Being our number one. It's just something we've been very fortunate and very good at. So, yeah, thanks, but no thanks, Mr. Johnstone. Your application, we'll get back to you.
Yeah. I've just got a bit of this, and it's a serious bit of this as well. Will Alves has just signed a long-term Leicester City contract.
There you go, Chris. Speak of the day. See, it's because it's like saying Beetlejuice. I said his name 3 times. And then he appears in breaking news form. There you go. Well, that's a positive, isn't it?
Literally, just as I was about to search and see find out who that goalkeeper we're talking about was, it comes up. Talented academy graduate Will Alves, and this is literally within the last 20 minutes. This has just come up. Talented academy graduate Will Alves has committed his long-term future to the football club with a new contract to June 2028. We'll just see if I can bring this up actually, and I can show you the news.
Well, you know that old cliche, Chris, and I'll use it if you won't. That's like a signing in itself, isn't it?
Yes, totally. Totally agree with you. Let me just share screen. Here we go. And as long as hopefully we use him. Let's be honest with you, it's got to be that. But there you go. Bringing it up. It's not perfect, but there we go. So Will Alves, ladies and gentlemen, Alves is in the building. See what I did there?
Sadly, yeah.
Oh dear. He has signed a new contract to June 2028. So it's a 4-year contract. The 19-year-old joined the club's academy at under 9s level. He made his Foxes debut in an Emirates FA Cup tie in January 2022. Alves said, "It's a great feeling. Another 4 years here where I've been for my whole life. I couldn't really see myself being anywhere else but here." I'm gonna ask you this. Is he not a possible KDH replacement?
Did I not mention this backstage, Chris, to you? And did I mention this live on the show? I'm sorry, this excites me. So excited I am about this news because for me, if you ever wanted to tell the story of how Leicester replaced KDH, it's a young, homegrown talent who's been with the club for a long time. He's a young, excited prospect who's just signed a new deal, who can play in midfield. He's quick, he's strong, and don't take this out of context, Chris. But the lad's got some muscle on him. The lad's got a body on him. He is in peak physical condition, this lad, from his return to injury. And to answer your question, Chris, hopefully we are going to see him playing because he has been training with the first team. Him and Braybrook have both been training with the first team. So it seems that they are really impressing. This to me is fantastic news. Because I can see him playing next season. I really can see him play this season. Sorry,
Yeah.
I can really see him playing.
I said this on a show just the other week, and I we'll talk about Alves. He wasn't actually part of the show, but I mean, it is great news. It is like a new signing, but look, he's 19. Let's use him. It always seems that Leicester, like Rooney, 16 when he's really, when he's let out onto the pitch, and all these other youngsters, and we can say, oh no, they're still until about 25. They're not old enough. Look, if they're good enough, they're old enough. Stick them on the pitch. And he's got, and I can't say too much because this is going on a bit of a blog that I'm doing next week on the BBC. Thank you, Scott. That's just come through. I'll look at it in a second. We've got to throw him in that pool to see whether he's going to sink or swim.
Yeah, and we've said this before, Chris, haven't we? In a weird way, given Leicester's situation, okay, it's still unknown on what our punishment's going to be. I know we've all accepted that unless something drastic turns up, we are going to have some form of points taken off us. I mean, the fact, whether you think, oh, well, it hasn't happened already doesn't mean it's going to be so bad or not. It's neither here nor there. You could take this as an opportunity to be very different to what certain newly promoted sides are, because newly promoted sides normally don't take the risk, maybe play them a couple of games, and then if they get relegated, they play them the last 3-4 games of the season because they're getting them ready to play the full season next season. Leicester kind of have a free hit. There isn't a man outside of Leicester, and there's probably even some in Leicester and Leicester fans themselves alike that have us down. As far as I'm concerned, the 2024-25 season, Leicester City will be a championship club. So why not unleash these young lads on there if they are good enough, and they certainly seem deemed good enough that he's offering him long-term contract and they're signing it, and we've been talking about them for a while. I feel, Chris, like both of them, and I'm not going to forget Braybrook in this either, but him and Braybrook would have probably played for us last season had it not been like their injuries that they suffered. So why not, Chris? We've got nothing to lose and everything to gain by having him play a big part this season.
Yeah. Just looking here, Leicester City delighted, and Scott's just sent me this through to confirm new professional contacts for 11 players from its academy ranks. I don't think those are going into possibly they're not ready for first teams yet. Kian Pennant, Joshua King, Kevin Gray, Liam McAnally, Toby Onyanyi, Steve Balser, and Tommy Neal. They're not names that I recognise as up there with, like you say, Braybrook and Alves and Nelson sort of thing. But no, to me that, and it's not often we can bring breaking news as we go live, is it? But that was
no, but it is nice to do it.
No, just very quickly going back to Sam Johnstone there before we move on. What we were saying about Salarchik not letting us down when he came on, etc. Didn't we say that about Ward?
Yeah, and again, that's why I said don't get doom and gloom thinking, oh yeah, but if Madsen gets injured, are we going to be using Ward? He was a donkey he was donkey in the Premiership. That was very, very different. When we were in good form and good spirits and we were all up for the fight and we were all, really, the morale was high and we weren't shattered to pieces, Ward had a great defence just like Casper did and just like last season Madsen did, and they played really well in front of him. Mm-hmm. Any goalkeeper. Would it have been Casper? Because I guarantee you, Chris, had that been Casper in that season, he got ripped to shreds. He's too old. Moving on. We need to pick him off. We need to do this. Rah, rah, rah. Why aren't we playing Wood? The same thing would have happened to whoever's in goal. It's one of them unfortunate seasons where I know that position better than anybody, in terms of me, you, and Craig and I'm not. It's a horrible position to go in when you've got a underperforming morale-stricken team because every little thing goes against you. If Danny Ward had to play for a month, 2 months, right up till Christmas, I would back him to be the Danny Ward that played well in them cup games, Chris, because he has got good goalkeeping ability. Again, that's why I don't think we need him. It's not like we're going, oh yeah, but if Madsen's out till Christmas as well, we're fucked. No, we've got 2 decent goalkeepers that know what they're doing and can do a good job for us. I've got no fears in them doing well with the team we've got.
Exactly. Right. I don't understand this link at all. God knows why. If we've got money to spend on a goalkeeper like that, we should have kept hold of Kelechi Iheanacho and given him a pay rise. But there we go. Right, next up on Leicester's 6-pack, and this is something that looks well, according to his Wikipedia page, he's already at Leicester City. And as somebody said to me when I put it up in the group about that, he went, yeah, but you can change it yourself in that. I went, yes, I know, that's the point. That's why I've showed it as a joke. I didn't do it, by the way. But look, I'll let you have a go at pronouncing that, Brad.
Buonanotte.
That's
as good as you get it. It's Buonanotte.
I think Andreas is talking about Alves there, but we've done those other 2. Yeah, look, date of birth December the 23rd, 24. He's 19, height 5'7". He's midfield, attacking midfield, left-footed, and then therefore obviously his other positions are on the right wing. As we can see there, he's got a contract at Brighton until 2027. So, attacking midfielder, right winger, right midfielder, could be the KDH replacement. We've only got him. If we do get him, and it looks like we are getting him, it's just a case of medicals, etc. A year's loan, not an option to buy. I think Brighton are looking to develop him, and if we do get him, I think we're going to be very lucky to get him, and they've let him come to Leicester and not let him go, not let him out to a championship team.
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one, Chris, because he got 36 games under De Zerbi last season. And again, it just shows what a changing manager can do, because, Facundo is what I'm going to call him, or Facundo, or however you pronounce it when it's spelled like that. Facundo, because it's easy to not get away with sounding like a curse word. He was probably coming into pre-season, still expecting De Zerbi to be there, and B, expecting this, when he wasn't there, this new manager to give him a chance in the first team. Now, whatever you think of Brighton's ambitious, if you lack of a better word, I guess, choice in managerial appointment, a 31-year-old from there, I know I'd rather have over Steve Cooper or him, but hey, Brighton proved me wrong. But it is a bit of a surprise because, like I said, he played a lot of games for Brighton last season.
Yeah, he did.
And the fact that they've completely ruled out a move, at least for now, we know these things can maybe go next season. He might go back and say, well, actually, I want to leave, and we don't know. But right now, Brighton are not willing to completely show their hand to this young lad, it seems. And obviously, this new manager feels like he does have a talented youngster on his hands. However, with the squad he's got at Brighton and building over the transfer window at Brighton, he feels like a newly promoted side are probably going to play him more than the game time he's offered him. And maybe this is the discussion over the last week or so, this, the manager and the player have had, because this has literally come out of nowhere in the last 48 hours. We know what Leicester are like, Chris. Actually, we're probably one of the sneakier teams for just dropping a transfer on us and it gaining wind. So this seems like something where maybe Brighton said to Leicester, well, okay, we're gutted we didn't get the KDH deal done off you, but we get it. But we've got a youngster we want to send out on loan, and you're saying you need a winger, midfielder sort of player, because I can see there he plays on the right as well. And how about you take him on loan? And then Leicester have tried to kind of say, can we have a deal? And they've gone, a loan deal, but nothing more. So we'll see. We will see. I mean, again, he's got everything to prove and you know, nothing to lose in a sense by coming to Leicester for a season on loan. Let's just hope he's not a Cassidy.
No. I mean, Brighton, they actually finished 11th last season. I seem to remember them struggling at one point. I mean, I didn't really follow the Premier League last season because we weren't in it. But I seem to remember them at one point struggling. But that said, they were 9 points clear of Brentford at the end of the day in 16th. So they didn't have an awful season. You know, they won 12 of their 38 games, drew 12, lost 14. Look, we were letting Brighton talk to KDH. I mean, KDH at the end decided he didn't want to go, and that is KDH's, well, let's be honest with you, no disrespect, Brighton or Chelsea. I'd sooner go to Brighton personally, but I think the wages would come into it. And so maybe they say, yeah, you know, we're happy to talk to you, Leicester. You know, he's, you know, Argentinian. He started at Rosario Central, one of the sort of well-known youth academy producing clubs over there in Argentina. He's played 2 games for the Argentinian under-20s. He's played 2 games for the Argentinian full side. 40 games he played, like you say, last season, mate, and scored 4 goals. I think if we get him, and who knows, in 12 months' time, they may have another manager at Brighton. You don't know what's going to happen. I think I would be very, very happy with this signing.
Yeah, again, it's got all the potentials to be a good signing, a good loanee, and like you said, you don't know what happens in the next 12 months or so. Brighton could, you know, change manager. He could have no interest in this guy. He could say, "Yeah, I don't need that sort of player. We'll sell him here for 20 million unless they get a great buy out of the situation." Either way, he could have. We've seen it with a lot of players. I know there was a few mentioned early on that you get in and they come to develop at you and they go back to their parent club and do really well. If it benefits Leicester to benefits Brighton, I'm all for it, Chris. Because like I said, when they mentioned it earlier, I was like, who? I did a bit of research, found out a little bit of information about him, and he has been playing, like you said, not on the international circuit for Argentina, and he's also played a lot last season, which made it a bit more eyebrow raising when I've heard that they were willing to loan him out.
I'm so surprised at this. This is why if I'm Leicester, even for a 12-month loan, I'm snapping Brighton's hand off here at the elbow to get him. And the interesting thing is, do you know where he's born?
Stoke-on-Trent.
No, he's born obviously in Argentina, but his place of birth is a town called Perez.
Oh, send him back. Send him back. Take it all back.
There might have to be a Perez-linked player that you have to say is actually quite good. So,
well, fair enough then.
This is one I think, and you as well, I think we both would be very, very happy if it was to come off.
Yeah, I mean, look, if it happens, again, you look at it on an all-round aspect. Leicester are getting him without a financial cost in a transfer fee, probably paying all his wages. It isn't going to be a lot. I can't imagine, even the talent he is, it's not going to be any more than £30,000 a week. So he's only costing us a wage, which is far significantly lower than most of the players we have.
I didn't realise this. Sorry to interrupt you, Brad, but I didn't realise this. But sometimes clubs do pay a fee when it's a loan. Now, it might only be like $1 million or 2 or 3, but there's sometimes a fee.
Yeah, I can't imagine someone like Brighton would. But again, Chris, even if you do, you say it's still a very, very cheap transfer to bring in for the season. And again, even if he does go back to Brighton and he does get into a team, you leave an impression both ways, don't you? He leaves an impression with us, and we could leave an impression on him. Whereas if a new manager or the manager that's currently there, he goes back there and they say, actually, Leicester, we don't want him. because we've signed so and so, or I don't play that style. So if he wants to play, he can. He might go, well, actually, yeah, but if Leicester want me, I'm happy to go to Leicester because I enjoyed my time on loan there. You know, we've seen it in the past. So this is win-win. I feel like this is another win-win situation for Leicester in terms of in terms of bringing in a player that's got it all to show for us, Chris.
It cost Brighton 5.3 million, with an additional 5.3 dependent on objectives being met and whether he's been there long enough to meet those objectives. They say that might have something to do with it. Maybe he's getting close to those objectives, and Brighton at this point aren't or are not keen to pay that extra 5.3 million.
Maybe they need a turnover of next season to be able to spend that 5 million towards it, and that's why it's gone on loan. It's amazing what dodgy rule dealings do to a club in their transfer activities.
Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, 75 decker buses just to get the goalkeepers on there. But yeah, that could be a part of it as well. You'd like to think not. I suppose Brighton fans and that if they're excited by him, they'd like to think not as well. But hey, if like I said, what benefits us can benefits Brighton in the long run. I'm all for it if he has a good season with us.
Yes, yeah, and look, like I say, as long as he does well for us, if he's, that's the deal. He goes back. Now, I did actually try and get a Brighton fan on from Brighton Rock Pod. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he's not been. He's not free until next week, so I wasn't able to get him on. But be interesting to see. We'll speak to him what he thinks about him. By then, who knows? We may well have completed the deal. Right now, the next one we're looking at here is now this. I don't think if we've got the other guy coming in, he who must not be mentioned because I can't pronounce his name, but if he's coming in, I'm not sure whether this one will work. I don't think we'll take both of them. But like you say, do we need two attacking midfielders? But this one is Carvalho, and we're going to get Doug in a minute to have a chat about him. 21 years of age, 5'6". He's an attacking midfielder, right-footed. He's at Liverpool, as everybody else is at the moment, till not Liverpool, but his contract's till 2027. What I like about him is obviously he had a good, decent season at Fulham. He's an attacking midfielder, but he can also play on the left or the right wing. And I've noticed one of the things that Steve Cooper likes is players that can play in multi-positions.
Yeah, it's a very common thing in the footballing age today, and it's good that our manager is interested in players that can be a bit versatile as well. And I'm going to disagree with you here, Chris. Wouldn't you know it? I would like us to get.
I have the power to kick you out. Remember,
I know, and I also have the power to bring myself back in.
You do. That's true. That's true.
Yeah, and also, guess what? I have the power to move you too. I'm very sorry. I only did it once. Don't ever do that again, Brad. Let me switch this back round. No, switch this back round. What's going on? Put Chris on top. There we go. Normal order is. The point is, though, going back to what we just said about old Frank, right? That's what we're going to call him now. It's just Frank, right? Until someone tells us how to pronounce his name. That's a deal that, for now, as far as we're aware of, benefits us for 12 months, benefits him, benefits Brighton, because then they can make a decision next season. This is a guarantee. This is a young, exciting player that both Fulham and Liverpool fans have sung their praises about. It is not the first time we have been in for him. In fact, until he chose Hull over us in the January transfer window, we was going to get him then.
Yeah.
I would take this because, Chris, I still think with us not having too many wingers, we've lost all Brighton as well. Yes, these players are versatile, but he is a more of a predominant winger, and I want him to keep that competition for Fatawu and Mavididi going, because what's one of the worst things that can happen to a a good quality footballer, Chris, and we saw it really 2 seasons ago, and we've seen it at other clubs. Tottenham fans will tell you about the likes of Kane and whatnot, and Arsenal will tell you, oh, they're always moaning. But my point is, Chris, you want competition for your players, because otherwise you'll be sat there as a player thinking, well, I can play bad this week. It ain't like he's got anyone to replace me. You want a player going, I'm annoyed at myself for having a bad game because now Carvalho might play. And I don't want that. I want my position in. I need to step my game up and try harder on the training pitch. So this is a good signing. And again, if Frank goes back to Brighton and they decide to put him in their team and he doesn't want to leave and we don't get him, at least we've then got Carvalho, who is still young, will only be 23 next season and will be a more permanent feature. Or, worst case scenario, Chris, we go down and someone's going to pay us 35 million for him.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Definitely interesting. Well, shall we see? Because I say he's a Liverpool-based player, and I did actually do a pre-record earlier with Doug. Shall we see what the Liverpool fan says about the Liverpool player?
Yeah, let's do it, Chris. Let's see what he has to say about him.
Here we go. So, as discussed, Fabio Carvalho is one of those players we are being linked with. And after 3 takes, I'm pleased to welcome from the Dugout Football channel, which is a Liverpool fan channel, Doug, ahead of the Shit Shirt show on Monday. How the devil are you, sir?
I'm not doing too bad, thank you. Hope you're well. And yeah, thank you for asking me to do this.
No, thank you very much for coming on. I don't know whether this will go on. I hope so, because I wouldn't mind signing him, and it's a lot easier to say than the guy we are being linked with from Brighton. Although probably the money would be more with him because of the longer name on shirt sales. Look, we're looking for a replacement for Kieran Dewsbury-Hall. That has got to be our priority. And we're at the business end now of the transfer window, a couple of weeks just to go. And we obviously kick off in just over a week. Could this potentially be a KDH replacement?
Yes, absolutely. I think when you look at Fabio Carvalho, I think it's a move that he made just a little bit too soon. There was always that talk of like when he was at Fulham, he was doing really, really well. Liverpool came in for him, and he was definitely one for the future. I think there's no denying that he was definitely one for the future. As time went on, I think you kind of saw that his chances at Liverpool were being very, very limited. And obviously, he's had a couple of loan deals recently. He's obviously been at Leipzig. He's been at Hull. Very successful one at Hull, I must add, as well. I think this would be a good signing for you. He's had a very good pre-season for us. He scored against Arsenal, scored against Manchester United. I mean, not too shabby. And I think he's a very, very good player. And he definitely deserves a move. He definitely deserves a permanent move. I don't want him to go out on loan again. It'd be sad to see him go, but I think he's kind of seeing that his options are limited now in the Liverpool team. So I'd be sad to see him go, but I wish him all the best wherever he goes.
He hasn't been with you long, in fairness, only a couple of seasons. You say you probably signed him too soon, and it's not just Liverpool, but the big clubs do seem to, and I obviously include Liverpool being a big club, seem to go out and buy these youngsters to say, well, they're one for the future. We're going to develop them. And then get bored because they're not the ready-made article and they kind of either disappear or drop down a division. I mean, is that a help, do you think, to players?
I don't think it is. I think a lot of people saw what he could do at Fulham. We saw what he did in that championship season. I think he got I think between 10 and 20 goals, which was really, really good. Was obviously linked with Liverpool. He had been linked with another couple of clubs. I think there was one in Portugal. I think he was linked with Porto, I think it was. So we managed to get him. and I was very, very happy at the time when we did get him, because I thought, yeah, one for the future for sure, but one for. I think you saw in that 21-22 season that, you know, things didn't go to plan for us, but whenever he came on, he always seemed like a game changer. Whenever things weren't going right, I remember when he scored a very late goal against Newcastle, and he was a very, very good game changer then. So it is unfortunate that, you know, these young players seem to be getting. I mean, look what Chelsea are doing. You know, they're buying every Tom, Dick, and Harry.
That they were the main team I was referring to be honest with you. Yeah.
Look, I mean, they're signing every Tom, Dick, and Harry. So, I think it is a shame that, you know, his down a wee bit, but I think if I was him, I would be looking to make a move to one of these promoted clubs. I mean, I know Southampton were linked. They've obviously had a 15 million bid rejected. I think you guys are obviously in for him now. I reckon between 20 to 25 million we'll get him, because I think we only got him for about 10 million. I think from Fulham, if my memory serves me correctly.
Well, I've got 5 million, but that is Wikipedia, so that could be completely wrong.
Well, I think it was 5 million, but it actually went to a tribunal, so I think it rose up to 10 million as well. So yeah, look, I think whoever gets him is getting a really, really pacey winger. He obviously wants to play the number 10 role at Liverpool. You know, unfortunately, you've got Dominic Szoboszlai, Harvey Elliott. I mean, who else? Diogo Jota. I mean, you know, he's probably fifth choice at that position. And then, you know, our new manager seems to be wanting to play him out on the wing. Klopp wanted to play him out on the wing. And again, you've got Diaz, Gakpo, Nunez. It's really, really difficult to get into the Liverpool side.
I mean, looking at the positions you've mentioned there, and it says there, you know, attacking midfield is his main position, which we need. He's going to have, I'm guessing here, but almost certainly Steffi Mavididi on his left and Abdul Fatawu on his right. Those, I think, for most of us are going to be the first two starters. So, but the fact that he can play out, it seems to be Cooper. Cooper seems to like this. Players that can play in multi-positions. And really, anybody like that should be worth the weight in gold.
Absolutely, yes. And I think when you've got three pacey players such as Fatawu, Mabadidi, and Carvalho, with obviously a striker behind them as well. That's a good way of looking at it. You can obviously play any part of the wings. He's played right wing, he's played left wing. I think he was predominantly a number 10 at Fulham, and then sort of started to go out to the left wing. So I think if you're looking at that, I think probably, number 10 is probably his best position. And it would definitely be a Kieran Dewsbury Hall replacement. And I think that's one thing you guys are needing.
Desperate for. I mean, if you'd seen the pre-season games that I've had to sit through, it's like watching the National Walking Football League. So, any pace or a replacement of any description for KDH would be good. Look, last question, because I know obviously you're a bit struggling for time. My worry with that is he good enough for the Premier League, or is it just? And I'm not disrespecting Leicester here, but obviously Liverpool are a different standard to Leicester. We're not the Leicester that we were last time we were in the Premier League. We're back to the start. Is he, like I say, just the fact? That's not saying that he's not good enough, but he's not going to. Well, he's not good enough if you look at those players that he's up against. Is it the Premier League he's not good enough for, or is it just Liverpool? Do you think?
I think he would thrive in a team that has very, very less pressure. So obviously, I'm not talking about an episode. I'm also talking about Southampton. I'm obviously talking about you guys this season. Because I think that the majority of people will probably be expecting the three that came up to probably to go straight back down. So I think that he would probably thrive on that. And he is a finisher. He is a very good finisher. When you actually look at his stats at Fulham, he was a very good finisher. and score a couple of goals
9
for.
in 20 I've got here, which is almost 1 in 2.
Yeah.
You know,
So, as I said, he's been very, very clinical in pre-season as well. So, I think he is a finisher, and I think it would be a very, very good signing for you guys. And yeah, I think if you get ahead of him, get him ahead of Southampton, and I think you've done a very good job.
I would love him. My only worry is the fact that obviously with this points deduction hanging over us, players may look at us and think, well, all right, Southampton might go down, but they've got a better chance of staying up than Leicester. But time will tell. Time will tell.
Time will tell, indeed.
Doug, thank you so very much for popping on and doing this. And I will see you Monday night, where we will be reviewing some Premier League home and away kits. And I've seen a couple of the latest ones coming through, and there's some dandies in there.
Oh yes, I can't wait to be as brutal as ever on that show. So yeah, thank you very much, and I'll see you then.
And yes, Southampton away, I am talking about you. Cheers, Doug. Take care, mate. Thanks very much.
Cheers. See you later. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Now then, whoops, Daisy. Let me. I've lost you. I've got you back. I want you back for good. More breaking news. Involves an ex-Leicester City player here, and if you ever wonder, did we do the right thing in getting rid of Brendan Rodgers? The answer is yes, because Celtic have made an inquiry for Crystal Palace's Jeffrey Schlupp.
You can't beat a good Jeffrey, can you?
You can't. Rose Ed always used to wear the scratch outfits, didn't they?
The only striker that could take a shot and it looked better as a pass. I still remember that goal that he set up for Joao. It was a shot.
I know. And West Ham have signed another player, by the way. West Ham Massive is in. Hiya, Rob. How are you doing? Very quickly, Carvalho sounds very good. If we can get both of them, wow. I think that is throwing a glove of intent down, isn't it?
It will, and some of our Leicester fans will go into hibernation because I get sick of transfer windows, as you know, Chris, because we get linked with a million signings and a million departures, but every transfer that doesn't happen, like, God, just imagine Leicester didn't get the free agent that was killing Mbappe. Well, there's always some Timmy Tosspot. I'm going to call him as they are. Oh, pathetic. Look at this. It's pathetic. We haven't got money. We're getting no property painting. Shut up. Boring. Yeah. Be great to get something like this. We won't have anything to moan about then.
Well, let's move on. Excuse me. Fulham last season finished 13th. 47 points, won 13, lost 17. But like you say, his stats were excellent last year. This one, which is quite a new one that's kind of popped up here, Oliver Skipp from Spurs. Let's have a look there at him. He is a 20... Oh, I've lost his age here. You might be able to see that better than I can. 23. 5'7", defensive midfielder, right-footed, at Spurs until 2027. I think that's more a case of maybe Tottenham trying to get rid of him than us actually wanting him. Midfield, defensive midfield. Don't think we need him, do we?
He's a bag of shit. I don't even know why.
Don't sit on the fence here, Brad. Don't sit on the fence. You say what you think.
No, he's awful. He's awful. He's no good. I don't know why he gets in the Tottenham team. Probably because the managers are that in and out. They don't know who to pick for the starting 11. But he's just crap. He's not Premier League material. Not even a jot. So skip. Live up to his name. Skip on to the next transfer because it's awful. Don't want him.
Thing is, though, he's represented England again under 16, 17, 18 and 21.
Ricky Lambert's got bloody England caps. Don't mean no, mate. Bloody hell. Come on.
They're going to quote David Nugent at me then.
I nearly did, mate, but at least he probably warranted an England cap.
It's interesting to see, obviously, he went out on loan for 2021 at Norwich and did all right at Norwich, but obviously they were down. Yeah, he's not one for me. I've got to be honest with you. And moving on now, again, one interesting one here in Steven Bergwijn. We remember well.
Yes. Now, if you take your cold sweating memories off of his 2 goals in 1.5 minutes against us to win that game, I want this. I would love this transfer to come through.
Yes.
Picture the scenes, Chris. It's Leicester 0, Tottenham 1. It's the 90th minute. Steven Bergwijn wearing number 33 coming on, bags 2 goals, revenge. You'd love to see it, wouldn't you? You'd love
Oh
to see
God,
it.
wouldn't you just?
But honestly, is quality. Why he was let go by Tottenham, I don't know. I know a few Spurs fans were absolutely fuming that he left to Ajax, which is where he is at the moment. I have seen a few posts saying if we go for one, we can't get the other. That might have been someone else, but I mean, it depends how much. Excuse me, he's going to cost us, but he comes with experience. He knows the division. He's a very quick player, and he can also play that role, Chris, which is the biggest concern for me. And it is a concern for me. I know we've still technically got 3 strikers. One is a youngster, one is nearly 40, and one, well, hasn't been able to hit a barn door with a banjo since Moscow. See if you can figure out who is who from them descriptions, folks. Answers in the comment section down below. He can get forward and go through the middle. He can score you goals. And that is a position I think we need to strengthen more than anyone. I know there's somebody who, a certain Burnley man is going to talk about in a minute or two, who could potentially fill that role, but this guy has it. He asked Tottenham fans, I'm sure you have, Chris, I'm sure you've managed to speak to a few or get some form of repertoire with a few Spurs fans and their opinions of him. And honestly, Chris, I'm excited by this. And I know Doug spoke highly of him, and I did myself. But if you said to me right now, Steven Bergwijn or Carvalho, it's a close one. It is a close one because the youth side, Carvalho, is more there. Bergwijn comes with more experience, more game time in the Premier League. I know he's been out for a few seasons at Ajax since Spurs got rid of him, but I couldn't. If you said to me, gun to my head, pick one or the other, I honestly couldn't. It'd be interesting to see. I don't know if YouTube still allows you to do polls, Chris, but it'd be interesting to get a feel from the fans in the chat who they would want if you could only have Carvalho or Bergwijn, because they're both exciting prospects, Chris, and I would take either of them.
If we get him who can't be pronounced and Bergwijn, I see Bergwijn as more of a striker than an attacker, to be honest with you. I mean, for me, we've got Vardy, who, well, will he be back for Tottenham? And this is, he's, to me, as much as I love him, stub his toe, he was going to be out for 9 months. We know that's the position he's at the moment. We look like we're going to be starting the Premier League at the moment with Daka up front. Because for some reason, Cannon isn't flavour of the month, whether he's got an injury or not, I don't know. But it's funny that, Enzo didn't particularly play him that much, having bought him. And then nor did Cooper in the pre-seasons. But look, I mean, Bergwijn, when he was in the Premier League for Tottenham, he scored 7 in 60 games or 60. I don't know whether they were starts or most of them. I'm guessing most of them were subs because it was against Leicester, wasn't it? Yeah. But look, they had Harry Kane. Nobody ever is starting.
And they had Son. Well, still have Son, but they also had him.
Yeah. Goes to Ajax. 56 games played since 2022. 24 goals scored. Again, almost 1 in 2. And the Dutch league isn't. It's not the Premier League, but it's not. Not the Scottish league either, is it? And he's again he's a Netherlands. He's got 8 goals for Netherlands in 35 starts. He's played under 17, 18, 19, 20, 21s and the senior team as well. Break the bank. Get this guy in now, as far as I'm concerned. But I don't think of him as a midfielder. Excuse me. I would, if we're going to start against Tottenham, if we sign this guy, and we've got the Brighton guy in or Carvalho, whichever one of the two, in midfield as an attacking midfielder. This guy up front, and you've got Mavididi on one side, Fatu on the other side. Bloody hell, Spurs! Don't stick your head above the parapet.
Yeah, on that basis, Chris, it sounds like a frightening one. And like you said, he was kind of like, he was almost Iosi Perez in a way, in the sense that Leicester never allowed or able to play Perez in what he classed as his natural position, because we had far better talents there. Bergwijn didn't really have far better talents, but 2 out of the 3 positions he can play in and play well, like you said, they had Kane and Son. So he was a super sub appearance player, and as we've seen, okay, the quality of the league you could argue about all day long, but for me, Chris, you put him up front. I said this to me brother when we were talking about him. I said, this is the thing though. He's quick. He's a stocky fella as well, so he's not going to get muscled off the ball like Daka will.
Yeah.
He can run at defenses. If you play him for 75 minutes, Chris, and then you throw on the Duracell battery that is Jamie Vardy, it's just defenders are gonna feel like they've done 12 rounds, to give a boxing term, and now they've got a number 4 on top because Vardy's coming on. This is what we were hoping to get or start to see the transition with Iheanacho and Daka, and it's never really happened. Get this guy in, play him as that first attacker, right? Love Vardy, love him to bits. Been saying it for a season. He'll probably prove me wrong and score 20 goals this season at the age of 38, and still prove. But my point is, Chris, if you're ever going to have it where he's still young, he's only 26, so he's not like he's 31 pushing up daisies in a few seasons' time. He's going to be no good to us. He's got at least 4, 5, 6 years left in him if he plays 32, 33 sort of age. So he's still got a while potentially to play the game at a top level. Put him in that game against Tottenham. Obviously get him in first. You can't just ask Ajax to borrow him for 24 hours. But you know what I mean? If he's here, Chris, does his medical, get him in, get him in the mold of the training. Stick him in the starting lineup. Who's going to know Spurs defense and how they like to play more than anybody in that team, apart from Harry Winks? It's going to be Bergwijn. So I'm all for it.
Teaming up again with Harry Winks, of course, and they'll know each other. Yeah. It
could be your Danny Drinkwater and Mahrez situation, mate.
Yeah. Spurs were paid 31.25 million euros, which I'm thinking is about 29 million quid. It was the most expensive transfer in the history of the Eredivisie, breaking the record set by Ajax, surprisingly, before. And he was also, 2023, he was announced as their new captain. So he's got leadership skills as well. I mean, God, please, have a word with your dad, Brad. Have a word up there and say, well, let's get him in. I'm sorry, to me, God. I mean, if we get 3 of these 6 players in, that's the perfect transfer window. I think we've had a great transfer window. Now, the last one here, and I was excited by this, and we're going to have another sort of 10-15 minute blog here from Dan, and that is a certain Fofana. We'd have a Fofana back at the top. I know, and there's another Fofana coming back to the Premier League for was it Arsenal? I don't know. It's getting, obviously Fofana is the equivalent of Smith. You know what I mean? There's just so many.
I do believe he's got his name wrong though, isn't it? It's Datro Fofana, not David Fofana.
It's David Datro Fofana.
No. We want a fancy name. It can't be David for the last so far. It's Datro Fofana. Come on, Chris.
Dave, only fools and horses.
Yeah, you can't call him Trigger.
Centre forward, but again, I mean, we were just looking before at. I mean, he's although Bergwijn, he said his main position is as a left winger. He can play attacking midfield or striker, but this guy is more of an out and out striker. Right-footed attack. Signed for Chelsea, believe it or not now, obviously, till 2029. Who knew? 5'9". Not great with his head, apparently. I wouldn't have been disappointed if we'd signed this guy, but I'd sooner have Bergwijn. But if we got him because Bergwijn couldn't be got across the line, it wouldn't be the end of the world for me.
Think of the future, Chris. 21 years of age. Vardy, surely, unless he turns out to be robotic, can't play forever. We've always said, okay, surely now, this will be his last season. Complete this fairy tale, keep Leicester in the Premier League, maybe go to Sheffield Wednesday, but if not, he'll retire and sail off into the sunset, as they say. See you later, Nate. I've just noticed that pop up there. I would, Chris, very much like to bring him in, even if we get Bergwijn. Because then, like you said, for whatever reason, we've made a very strange Tom Cannon signing for no apparent reason, whatever. I think that may have just been desperation for cover, and he was cheap. I don't know. It gives me what was his name? Kramaric vibes. Patson Daka. I really want him to come good, but I just can't see it happening. So realistically, even if we got Bergwijn in, Chris, we'd have Bergwijn and Vardy going forward for the season. And like you said, he could stay together as well as it is. But one false step in on a dodgy pavement at the training ground, and Vardy's out for 2 months. I would want somebody who you can bring on, or maybe even start a game with the way he plays the game, and kind of rotate between the pair of them. To use as a striker, I think he's a good young prospect, and he's played a few times for Chelsea. And proven he's got that ability. Like I said, he's a young lad, so everything to gain by bringing him in. And again, one eye on that future without Vardy.
Yeah,
we've got to be making inroads into these players now. So why not, Chris? If we can get them both through the door, get them both. Gun to my head, I am with you though on the situation. One or the other, Bergwijn would be the man for me.
Yeah. Thanks very much, Nate. All the best. Thanks for popping in. Can I just say, I've had an email off Lucy Jones. I was following your YouTube channel for a few days. Your content's very interesting, blah, blah, blah. I can help you with your SEOs and all that. But you do need, she says, you do need to promote your YouTube on social media more. Like, you don't fucking know anything about me because I am all over the bloody social media, you stupid cow, to put it politely. Bergwijn, lad from Brighton, and Fofana, sell Daka. Yeah, pretty much do. Swap Daka. Yeah, any one problem with that, who would take Daka? But look.
Enzo Wood. That's it. He's hit the nail on the head. Swap him for Fofana.
That's a good point, actually. Good point, Neil. Good point, Brad. Look, in January, apparently, I thought it was all season, but in January, he joined Burnley, and he didn't manage to keep them up. But we did have a word earlier with Brad. No, we didn't. You're Brad, aren't we? And a chat earlier with Dan, who I nearly called Brad as well yesterday, and he was telling us all about Fofana last season. Let's have a look at that, and we'll be back in 10 again. Take two. Yes, I'll get it right this time. It's the transfer show. We are talking, well, two at the moment, David Fofana and Carvalho, but we may be talking, oh God, why can't we just get somebody called Turf Morehouse or something easy to say like that? We also have been linked with Facundo Buonanotte from Brighton, I believe he's called. But look, talking to Turf Morehouse, got to say, it's been a while. Probably because I haven't been paying the alimony, but we've waved at each other a couple of times in the past season as we've passed like ships in the night, up and down. And I have a feeling we could be doing it at the end of this season again. I nearly called you Brad then, Dan from Turf Morehouse TV. How the devil are you?
I'm all right, Chris. I'm all right. It's good to chat again. It's been a while.
Yeah,
and I just. Yeah, it's a strange one. We always seem to miss each other. I mean, not personally. I think we can't stand being in the same room, but but no, from a football.
Now we are here to talk about Mr. Datro Fofana, to give him, well, David Datro Fofana, to give him his full name. You had him last season, not obviously biblically, but you had him at Burnley. Obviously didn't stop you going down. He's 21. He's young, so he's. We've been linked and we've just signed a couple of oldies, just under 6 foot. His attack, as you can see there, centre forward. He's at Chelsea. They're looking to raise money. What was he like for? Did you have him for the whole season? First of all,
no, I think we brought him in halfway through the campaign. To be fair, I think he was a January signing.
Right.
But he was really solid when he came in. We actually thought this guy is going to spearhead us from an attacking perspective to get us out of those, struggling positions. Made 15 appearances for us. And from what we saw, we did get a little bit of hit and miss with him. But I think there was reasons for that when we look back now. But 4 goals to his tally. I think he helped us to... His first 2 goals helped us to a draw with Fulham when we were 2-0 down at Turf Moor. And from that point onwards, we thought, wow, this guy's going to, he really is going to spearhead us on. And then the game after, something just didn't seem right. He seemed off. He was sitting deep. And for me, I think that was, from a management perspective, I think he's been told, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah. You're overburning yourself. And if anything, it halted what we had, because clearly it was working. So why would you change that? He's even come out and said that I think there was a little bit of something between him and company. Right. I don't just think it was him, because a lot of players had a bit of a... Company was a bit of an ick for them. It says something when Gudmundsson leaves, does a leaving video, company buggers off to Bayern Munich, and Johan Berg Gudmundsson signs a new contract. Yeah.
Had Fofana come to you, let's say the season before when you were in the champion, you had a fantastic championship. I thought we were going to go and take all your records off you, and we ended up not doing. But had he come to you in that league or in that team, or even with a different manager, do you think you would have seen a better Fofana then?
Yeah, massively. I think the way we set up in the championship was a lot better than what we did when we came up. Because when we ripped the team sheet up. It was almost like company didn't trust any of those players that got us promoted and decided to go with a brand new starting 11. And I think that's another thing that buggered us up. But he gets involved in the play as well. He's not just one of those attackers that waits for the ball to his feet. He'll come back, get involved, but make sure he's got the pace, he's got the stamina to get back into those positions, to be on the end of opportunities. There was at least 5 big chances that he should have put away. But again, these are ones where balls come across box at a time. We could all say about Gaza, at France 98. I think it was France 98.
No, Euro 96.
Yeah, Euro 96, that's it. And obviously that sort of situation. But there were a few moments like that. The ball should have hit the back of the net.
But Were you seeing that he was actually? I mean, we had we've just done some friendlies, and honestly, drug dealers shoot with better accuracy than than our strikers, what have you. But there was a time when the new signing took over Reed went right to the byline, did well to keep hold of the ball, got the ball back across the box. Not one Leicester City player in the box. And you're thinking like, well, yes, all right, maybe they've told to hang back, but where was Daka? He's supposed to be, quicker than a 100-meter sprint runner, and he was nowhere to be seen. Was Fofana getting himself into the positions?
Yeah,
I mean, missing it happens. Don't get me wrong,
yeah,
but
of course.
you've got to be in the position, and that's what we haven't seen so far in the friendlies this season.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm just looking at his stats from last season. He had 19 shots, 10 on target. So he is quite, prolific for when you look at it. Apart from the 5 big chances missed, I think he scored 1 with his header and 3 with his right foot. So from a left side perspective, you'd like to think as an attacker he's quite, his weak foot ability is going to be decent as well. He created 3 big chances. He had an assist on there as well. He has contributed with 3 crosses, made 168 passes. So, like I said, he does get involved in the play. If you're still playing that sort of, tiki-taka, gegenpressing football, then it's good. Fofana, for me, would be the perfect option for the way yourselves are set up. Trying to get forward, that quick thinking, trying to get forward. And I think he would help massively. I just hope, similar to how we had him, that he isn't halted in his play. Because when he is full of confidence, he is all go, powers through. He's an absolute workhorse.
You can never tell when you sign these players because you're buying new players on what you've seen them do in other teams, and they come into your team, and like I say, it's how it's set up. What sort of formation was sort of company doing last year? Was it just one up front, and was that one Fofana? Or as you can see there, he plays on the wing. What role did company have him playing?
So at the start, he was playing up top. He was playing up top, and then we went to, I think, a 4-3-3 for a couple of games, and he was pushed out to the left. But what company liked to do, he kept trying to alternate the wingers during the game so that it would, I say, confuse the fullbacks. But obviously, if one's done homework on one and one's done homework on the other, swap them around. There were a few times he got that wrong, but he really does help aerial battles. That's the one thing I think you need to look out for. If you're pumping the ball long, he's for a tall guy. He's a bit like Weghorst, to be fair. He's got the heart, but there's just nothing there. He won 13 aerial battles,
a bit
but
like
lost 35.
Yeah, he's 5'9", and when he jumps, he's 4'6".
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. But he's made 22 recoveries. 22 recoveries. So he's managed to win the ball back. You know what? I dare say, I think he'd even work well with a partner up front as well.
Oh, the joy of having 2 up front again. I mean, I'm not necessarily one of those 4-4 bloody 2, but I am old enough to start thinking that way. And 2 up front. Oh my God, the joy, the unbridled.
Well, he did well. I think there was one game. I'm not sure who it was against, but we pushed him and Wilson Odebear up front with him, and for some reason it just seemed to work. It clicked. I mean, results didn't go that way, but from the football perspective, it clicked. There was this telepathic reading of where they were, what they were doing. If you can sort that out and get a telepathic understanding, when 2 strikers or an attacking-minded player hits it off, then teams need to be wary. I think. I hope he does go to someone like Leicester. And again, what you said about Chelsea being they're not the animal they once were. He's now got a point to prove and go, well, if I absolutely walk it here, I'm walking into that team. And if Chelsea say that I'm not walking into that team and they think they're still, the big I am, then I'm off.
Yes, very much like what what's happened with Winks. I mean, he was farmed out on loan from Spurs to Europe, came back. Spurs didn't particularly didn't want him at all. We picked him up for 10 million, and bloody hell, purchase of the season last season for the whole championship for me.
You were solid.
But look,
you were solid.
There we go. I mean, he's going to be playing. I would tend to say, if I'm a betting man, he's going to be playing in the formation that you can see there. So him up front, and he'd have Mavididi on one side, possibly, and Fatawu on the other. Two really speedy wingers. So that could be the front three we're looking at. But look, Dan, thank you so much for coming on and giving us, your insight. You had him for half the season last season. And I've got to say, and we did mention this before we came live, a big, huge thank you on behalf of 91 other clubs in the 4 leagues that you've taken one for the team, and you've got Scott Parker as your manager. Cheers, mate.
You're welcome.
I did. Oh, look, we have banter, as you know, and anybody that watches this will remember. We do have banter with each other, and I so wanted to take the piss out of you when that happened. And I think I just sent one slightly sarcastic tweet and left it at that.
I don't get it, how long it can take to employ a manager. A manager that's been out of contract.
Yeah.
Personally, I think we were after Ruud van Nistelrooy, but Manchester United poached him back onto their coaching staff, and just one of them. Then we had to settle for Plan B.
Well, it could have been Jesse Marsh. You never know. It could have been.
Could have been Kim Marsh, mate. I don't know what Burnley think at the minute, honestly.
I did remember. I did send you one tweet that actually said, because company had gone to Bayern Munich, and then Enzo then went to Chelsea. After that, we interviewed, and I thought we were taking ages because we were being linked with Van Nistelrooy and everybody else. And then we got Steve Cooper in, and
he was meant to come to here. He came to here. He had 2 interviews. And then when the Leicester job became available, he thought, hold on, I might have a sniff at getting back into Premier League management. So he held off. He stalled the move.
Had an offer been made from Burnley?
An offer had been made for Steve Cooper.
Right, let me just get rid of my next question, which was, did you wish you'd got Steve Cooper?
But yeah, he halted the move. He halted the move because he was trying to keep his options open, and said, "How long have I got? How long have I got to basically answer, get back to you?" And in that process, I think at the time he went and spoke to Leicester a couple of days later, and then he went for a second interview with Leicester a week later, and we at that point then went, no, if you want to be our manager, you give us an answer. Yeah. So we then went on to
we were options. Very much like that with Harry Potter, of course. No, I know it's not Harry before anybody says, but I always say that if you've got to get on your knees and give somebody a blowjob to get them in as your manager, then move on, go on to somebody else.
Oh, Scott Parker couldn't wait to walk through the door.
he was still putting his cardigan on as he was going through the double doors, wasn't he, at the front? Man at CNA, for those of you that are old enough to remember. But look, mate, thank you so much. Look, as I said, you enjoy next season. Like you said to me 12 months ago, that it'll be proper football, no VAR, the ball goes in the net, have a look over for the flag. If it's not up, celebrate.
Hello, Matt Elliott here.
Hi, Alan Smith here.
Hey guys, Ian Hume here.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here.
Be sure to watch
Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV
for all the latest Leicester City news and information.
You can also subscribe on YouTube and various social media channels
for the latest updates and news on Leicester City Football Club.
Come on, you foxes!
Steve Cooper to Burnley.
Yeah.
I don't remember hearing that one.
No, I don't. I'm very glad it didn't happen, though, because she gave me the choice between Scott Parker and I think you know where I stand on that one as well as Dan did for Burnley, bless him.
I had to mention it, didn't I? I had to mention it.
It's like not mentioning the war, isn't it, in Faulty Towers? I think you got away with it.
But well, I've got to say, even more. Congratulations to Spain, European champions. They are now Olympic champions as well, beating France 5-3. So, look, Brad, for me, my idea, well, if I could take 3 out of those 6, I would have Carvalho, Bergwijn, and we're calling him Frank, are we? Facundo.
We'll call him Frank, yeah.
Yes. I think those are my 3.
I would take Carvalho, Bergwijn, and I can't call him by his last name because I still curse the name. But Datro.
He led the Daleks, didn't he?
Well, I don't care what he led. I just don't like his name being Wes.
But hey, talking about a certain he hates Nottingham Forest player. He's gone back as a scout.
Who? Oh, where's Morgan? Yes, I saw that. Yeah, fair play to him. I mean, he humiliated them enough in games when we used to beat them and winning league titles and getting to Champions League quarterfinals or Leicester. He might as well go and show him how he did it, and it's about time, bless him.
And in fairness, we've never offered him anything, so why not?
No. Well, the last Morgan we offered a job up upstairs. We all know what happened to him. He was the women's manager.
Yes. Look, tonight is the very much end on this one, but tonight is the closing date for the Prediction League.
Yes, it is. There's not many spaces left, not many at all. In fact, I can count them all on one hand, and I'm not from Nottingham, so it's only 5. We are at the 20-member mark. The last time I checked the group, there has been a few of you that have joined in since the announcement. And if you're wondering, Prediction League, what is this Prediction League? What is this all about? Well, where have you been? Because we're doing it for 3 seasons, and I am the 2-time Premier League champion. It is.
Let's get rid of him.
Like the bookie teammate, I'm waiting for the 5-time, but I won't get enough time to say it. No, it is a Premier League Predictions League. That's right. We don't just predict Leicester games on this channel. We'll be predicting every week's prediction for the Premier League. So how do you get involved, I hear you ask? Well, I'm here to tell you the answer. You go on to X, not your ex-girlfriend or your ex-husband, on the social media app X or Twitter, as it's known as. You type in at full-time I forgot my own handle. At full-time focus. We'll cut that out. It's not live. You go on to there. You search out full-time focus. You'll find me. Send me a follow. Send me a message saying, Brad, can you add me into the Predictions League, please? And I will add you into our group chat on Twitter, which is now known as X. And each week you will be asked to give me your predictions for the games. How it works, quickly tell you how it works. Let's say you've given me your predictions and the Monday night game comes around and you've backed Leicester to win 3-0 and they win 2-0, you'll get 1 point. If you predict Leicester to win 3-0 and Steven Bergwijn comes and scores a hat-trick and we win 3-0, you will get 3 points. So the race is on. Doug is the current champion, but it wasn't a championship. I am the current defending Premier League 2-time champion. Don't know if I've ever mentioned that before. So you come and join us. It's all for fun and games. So may give you a little prize.
Let it go.
Might give you a little prize at the end if I'm feeling generous. It depends how badly I do. We won't talk about last season, but again, championship. But if you want to join us, it's at Twitter or X. I don't like calling it X. So at Twitter, at Full-Time Focus. Follow me on there. Send me a message. But there is limited spaces left. We're capping it at 25, and we are very close to that. So if you want to get involved in it, get involved now. Otherwise, unfortunately, I would say like the ladies in my life, but there isn't any. But I would hypothetically be turning you away at the door.
Well, There we go. I mean, a quick impersonation here of Brad here.
I don't know. It's so difficult not to look smug at this point.
Can I just say, guys, that last season, when there was 20 odd in the prediction league, I think it fluctuated because some joined and some left, but you came sort of just below mid-table. Last time you won the Premier League prediction league, there was 3 of us in there, and one of those was Steve Linex, who couldn't predict what time he'd wake up in the morning. So I mean, let's not build your part of it, Brad.
I know, but still, you can only be what's in front of you, and just because you're in the real competition.
Yes, you can. Brad, I will let you go, mate. I appreciate your time on this show. Really do appreciate it. Thank you very much and have a good weekend.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Go to see Luton versus Burnley because there's no other football on worth watching. Thanks for having me on, Chris. And as always, I've enjoyed it. It's been a pleasure. And good night, everybody.
Take care, mate. And don't forget, Brad's details are in the description below. Get over to LTID TV2 and give that a subscribe as well. Cheers, Brad. Have a good one, mate.
Take care, everybody. Take care, mate.
Right, and just to remind you, that's looking very different. I've got a different light on. Just coming up this weekend, we have got tomorrow at 2:30. We've got the match day watch along, the last of the pre-season friendlies. Are we going to see our starting 11 turn up? Quite possibly. And that is tomorrow at 2:30. The match day watch along, and then Monday at 7 it's back, the shirt review show. I can't call it anything other than that in text form because they don't like it at YouTube and they throw me out. So there we go. So they are coming up tomorrow at 2 and Monday at 7. Thank you to everybody, as well as say Brad. First of all, obviously, thanks to him for joining us and doing that. Thanks to Dan and thanks to Doug for their contributions as well. And mainly thank you to everybody who has watched and those who have listened via their favourite podcast platform and joined in. If you remember, thank you for your continued support. And if you want to join us, it's only $1.99 a month. Details are below on YouTube. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell so you never miss a show. Like I say, our next one is 2 o'clock tomorrow. This has been LTID TV. I've been Chris, and I will be back. Good night.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You'd better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.